Please give your full attention to what I am about to share because this is more than simple information. It can be important for protecting yourself. There are people in this world who do more than dislike you. They may actively hope that you fail. In some cases, they may even want to see you disappear from their lives completely. If you are not paying attention, if you ignore the warning signs, you can walk directly into carefully prepared traps with a smile on your face while someone quietly plans their next move behind you. This is not about becoming paranoid or distrusting everyone around you. It is about understanding basic human behavior. Some deeply troubled and manipulative people can operate with a level of hostility and planning that genuinely kind people struggle to imagine. And here is the disturbing part. Your goodness may be exactly what makes you easier to manipulate. So today, we are going to look at 6 hidden signals, 6 small but meaningful signs that can reveal when a narcissistic person is no longer simply bitter toward you, but may be actively trying to damage your peace, reputation, relationships, or stability. Seeing these signs does not mean assuming the worst. It means becoming aware. And that awareness can help you protect yourself emotionally, socially, and sometimes even physically. Stay with me, because some of these signs are so subtle that you may have experienced them without ever realizing what was happening. Your good qualities can become the very tools someone uses against you. That is one of the most disturbing parts of manipulation. It can happen quietly, gradually, and almost invisibly until you suddenly realize how much control you have handed away. Think about it for a moment. The qualities people admire in you may also be the qualities a manipulative person studies most carefully. Your kindness, your loyalty, your empathy, your patience, your ability to forgive, your habit of looking for the good in people, your determination to keep going even when things become difficult. These qualities are strengths, but in the wrong hands, they can be turned against you. And often, it is not accidental. A manipulative person may notice what matters most to you and then learn exactly how to use it. If you are kind, they may constantly ask for more, not because they appreciate your generosity, but because they begin to feel entitled to it. You may find yourself saying yes when every part of you wants to say no. Slowly, kindness stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like an obligation. And that is when you need to pay attention. If you are loyal, they may keep testing that loyalty. They cross one boundary, then another. They disappoint you, hurt you, break your trust, and then watch to see whether you remain. Because they know you value loyalty, they may expect you to stay longer than you should. You begin creating explanations for behavior that should never have needed an explanation. Maybe they will change. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe they did not mean it. Maybe I misunderstood. And while you are searching for reasons the pattern continues, they may recognize this pattern and rely on it. If you are naturally forgiving, your forgiveness can become another opening for repeated harm. They hurt you, apologize, promise to do better, and then repeat the same behavior. When you finally become tired, they may even turn your values against you. They may suggest that if you were truly forgiving, you would let it go. If you really cared, you would give another chance. But there is a difference between forgiveness and permission. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to hurt you again. This distinction is crucial. Keep listening, because the next part may explain why your greatest strength can sometimes become your greatest vulnerability. Your empathy can be another target. Empathy allows you to understand another person's pain. It helps you imagine what someone else may be feeling. It encourages you to care even when you have been disappointed. But a manipulative person may learn how to use that compassion to keep you emotionally attached. They may suddenly become the victim whenever you begin questioning their behavior. They may cry when it helps them. They may become angry when anger gives them control. They may suddenly break down when they sense you are pulling away. Each reaction can create pressure inside you. You start thinking that you must comfort them, you must rescue them, you must understand them. You must protect them from the consequences of their own behavior. And then something strange happens. When you are the one who needs support, they may disappear. When you are hurting, they may become cold. When you need understanding, they may suddenly have no patience. The relationship becomes one-sided. Their emotions matter. Yours become an inconvenience. Their pain deserves attention. your pain gets ignored. This imbalance is not something you should dismiss as a small misunderstanding. It can reveal a deeper pattern. The same person who expects endless understanding from you may offer almost none in return. And if you continue giving without noticing the imbalance, you can slowly lose sight of your own needs. Even your desire to see the best in people can be turned against you. You may notice obvious warning signs, but still search for a more positive explanation. You see disrespect and call it stress. You see manipulation and call it insecurity. You see repeated dishonesty and call it fear. You see cruelty and tell yourself there must be pain underneath it. Of course, people can struggle. People can make mistakes. People can change. But change is shown through consistent behavior, not through endless promises. Compassion should never require you to ignore reality. This is where awareness becomes powerful. You do not have to become cold to become wise. You do not have to stop caring to create boundaries. You do not have to assume everyone is dangerous. You simply need to stop allowing your good heart to overrule what your eyes are showing you. If someone repeatedly uses your kindness, loyalty, forgiveness, and empathy to gain control over you, the answer is not to become less kind. The answer is to become more discerning. Your goodness does not need to disappear. It needs protection. And once you understand that, something begins to change. You stop asking, how can I prove that I'm a good person? And start asking, is this person treating my goodness with respect? That question can reveal more than you realize. Stay with this, because the most dangerous patterns are often not the loud ones. They are the quiet patterns that repeat until you finally recognize what they are doing. You will explain away cruelty as stress. You will call deception a misunderstanding. You may even mistake attempts to control you for acts of concern. This is where a narcissistic person can gain the most power, because they know you may change your own understanding of reality just to protect the ideals you still believe in. They know you may sacrifice your peace of mind to preserve the image of them you once trusted. They know you may rewrite the story in your head simply to keep hope alive. And every time you do that, their influence over you grows stronger. This is the central psychological pattern. They turn your strengths into weaknesses. They do not attack the places where you are already vulnerable, because that would be too obvious. Instead, they slowly weaken the very foundations of who you are. They make you question whether kindness is foolishness, whether loyalty is weakness, whether forgiveness is a mistake, and whether empathy is actually a form of self-betrayal. Slowly, you stop trusting the qualities that once made you proud of yourself. You begin looking at your best traits as if they are the source of all your problems. And when you lose confidence in your own goodness, you begin losing touch with an important part of your identity. That is how they drain your strength. Not always by overpowering you directly, but by convincing you to lower your own defenses. They make you question yourself until you begin doing their work for them. And the painful truth is that many people do not recognize this process until years have passed. Eventually, they look back and ask themselves, how did I let this continue for so long? The answer can be painfully simple. You stayed because you were trying to be a good person. You kept believing, forgiving, understanding, and hoping. And someone used those qualities against you, not necessarily by accident, but because they recognized how much power those qualities carried. Stay with me, because the next sign reveals another pattern that can expose what is happening beneath the surface. They can take greater satisfaction in your failures than they ever feel from their own achievements. This is one of the clearest windows into a deeply insecure and hostile mindset, because it reveals something beyond ordinary jealousy. Most people experience envy from time to time. That is human. If someone you know buys a beautiful new car, receives a promotion, or reaches a goal you wanted for yourself, you might feel a quick flash of jealousy. But a healthy person can recognize that feeling, understand where it comes from, and continue living their own life. They do not need the other person to lose in order to feel whole. A narcissistic person may operate very differently. Your success can feel like a direct threat to the story they have created about themselves. Their identity may depend on feeling superior, special, flawless, or always ahead of everyone else. So when you succeed, it does not simply make them uncomfortable. It can shake the fragile image they are trying so hard to protect. Every achievement you make can become a reminder that someone else is growing, succeeding, or receiving attention without needing their approval. And instead of putting that energy into improving themselves, they may redirect it toward your losses. Watch closely. When something goes wrong for you, their expression may change. Their eyes may become sharper. Their voice may suddenly sound more interested. If you fail at something that mattered deeply to you, they may not offer genuine support. They might pretend to comfort you while secretly enjoying the fact that you are struggling. Sometimes the reaction is incredibly subtle. A small smile, a strange pause, a comment that sounds harmless but somehow makes your pain feel even worse. Pay attention to these moments because patterns often reveal more than words ever will. This is also why their praise can feel strangely empty, while their sympathy feels uncomfortable or out of place. Somewhere beneath the surface, they may be waiting for the moment your life becomes difficult because your setback restores their feeling of superiority. Your success makes them feel smaller, while your failure temporarily makes them feel bigger. And this can lead to another disturbing pattern, subtle sabotage. They may not simply sit back and wait for you to fail. They may create conditions that make failure more likely. Before an important decision, they may plant doubt in your mind. Before a major meeting, they may question your ability. Before an opportunity, they may tell you why it probably will not work. They may distract you, confuse you, create unnecessary drama, or introduce instability right when you need clarity the most. Then when you stumble, they receive a double reward. They get to watch you fall, and they know they helped push the situation in that direction. They do not always need to defeat you openly. Sometimes they prefer to quietly stack the situation against you and then stand back as if they had nothing to do with it. Their satisfaction can become even stronger when your loss happens at their expense. Think about how revealing that is. A secure person wants to win through their own growth. An insecure person may become obsessed with making someone else lose. And you can often see the difference in ordinary conversations. Share good news, and they minimize it. They change the subject, they bring attention back to themselves. They offer a weak compliment followed by a criticism, but share bad news, and suddenly they become intensely interested. They ask questions. They want details. They keep the conversation going. Their attention becomes almost energized. It can feel as if your pain has suddenly become important to them in a way your happiness never was. Over time, you may begin wondering why your achievements feel smaller every time you share them with this person. You walk away from conversations that should have made you feel proud, yet somehow you feel embarrassed, uncertain, or less confident than before. That is psychological erosion happening in real time. And one of the strongest clues is constant comparison. A narcissistic person may keep a silent scoreboard in their mind, constantly measuring themselves against the people around them. They need to feel ahead, but not always through genuine effort, growth, or achievement. Sometimes they try to get ahead by making other people feel smaller. If they cannot rise, they may try to pull you down. If they cannot outshine you, they may become strangely satisfied when your light becomes dimmer. This is one reason gossip and rumors can become powerful tools. They may spread stories, repeat private information, exaggerate mistakes, or quietly encourage others to doubt you. It is not always random cruelty. It can become part of a larger pattern of maintaining control and protecting their fragile sense of superiority. And here is the important part. They cannot openly celebrate your suffering without revealing too much about themselves. So the behavior often comes through hidden signals. A smirk they quickly cover, a casual remark that lands much harder than expected, or a strange silence when a normal person would offer encouragement, a dismissive reaction when you succeed, a sudden spark of interest when you describe something painful. These tiny moments may seem meaningless individually, but when they keep repeating, they form a pattern. And once you begin seeing that pattern, you may realize why certain interactions have always left you feeling uneasy. You may start asking yourself whether the person beside you is secretly hoping that you fail. That realization can be deeply unsettling. It can create doubt, suspicion, and emotional distance. You may begin questioning everyone around you, wondering who genuinely supports you and who is quietly waiting for you to fall. And this is where you must be careful. Awareness should not turn into fear of everyone. Not every awkward reaction is manipulation. Not every jealous moment means someone wants your destruction. Look for repeated behavior, not isolated incidents. Look for patterns that continue even after you communicate clearly and establish boundaries. That distinction matters, because when you become constantly unsure of yourself, isolated from supportive people, and afraid to share your happiness, you become much easier to influence. And that is exactly why some manipulative people benefit when you stop trusting your own judgment. The celebration of your failures is not simply rude behavior. When it becomes a repeated pattern, it can reveal a deep need to restore control and superiority. Your pain becomes proof in their mind that they are still above you. Your setback becomes their emotional relief. Your confidence threatens the story they tell themselves, while your insecurity helps protect it. And that reveals something important about their inner world. A truly secure person does not need your failure to feel successful. A genuinely strong person does not need you to become smaller so they can feel tall. A healthy person can celebrate another person's success without feeling personally defeated. So if someone repeatedly becomes happier when you struggle, repeatedly minimizes your victories, repeatedly undermines your confidence, and repeatedly seems energized by your pain, do not ignore the pattern. You do not have to attack them. You do not have to prove anything. You simply need to see clearly. Because once you stop confusing manipulation with concern and stop mistaking sabotage for coincidence, their ability to control your perception begins to weaken. And that is where your power starts coming back. Real ability, genuine self-respect, and true inner strength do not require other people to fail in order to feel valuable. A narcissistic person may, and that hunger can seem endless. Your setbacks are never enough. They may always want the next mistake, the next disappointment, the next moment that proves in their mind that you are not above them. Your success can disturb the image they have built of themselves, while your failure temporarily makes them feel secure. But there is another tactic you need to recognize, because it can be extremely difficult to explain to anyone who has never experienced it. They turn silence into psychological warfare. Most people think communication means words, arguments, explanations, or conversations. But with a narcissistic person, silence can become just as powerful as speech. It can be used to unsettle you, gain control, and quietly change the balance of power without a single direct confrontation. This is not peaceful silence. It is not the silence of reflection. It is not someone simply taking a moment to think. It is silence used as a strategy, carefully, deliberately, with an awareness of how deeply uncertainty can affect you. When a narcissistic person suddenly becomes silent, it may not be because they have nothing to say. Sometimes they know exactly what their silence will cause you to do. They know your thoughts may begin racing. They know anxiety can rise. They know you may replay every recent conversation, searching for the mistake you supposedly made. Their silence leaves you feeling as though you are being judged without ever being told the charge. You begin asking yourself, did I say something wrong? Did I upset them? Why won't they respond? What did I do? And that mental spiral can become the very thing that gives them influence. Every minute you spend doubting yourself can become another minute in which they hold the emotional advantage. Keep watching, because this next part explains why silence can become so powerful without a single threatening word. The silent treatment is one of the clearest examples of this behavior. They withdraw emotionally, and sometimes they withdraw physically as well, leaving you trapped inside a space filled with uncertainty. Hours can pass, then days, sometimes even longer. There is no clear explanation and no meaningful attempt to resolve the issue. During that period, you may wonder what they are thinking or whether they realize how much their behavior is affecting you. But the disturbing part is that the uncertainty itself can become the point. Your discomfort, your nervousness, your need for an answer, your desperate wish to know where you stand, all of it can increase their feeling of control. By refusing to communicate, they can make you chase them. You begin reaching out again and again. You may apologize even when you are not sure what you did. You may accept blame simply because you want the relationship to return to normal. You may settle for the smallest amount of attention just to end the emotional tension. What began with their withdrawal ends with your pursuit. And in that reversal, they may feel they have won. But silence does not only happen after an argument. It can appear in the middle of a conversation too. Imagine that you are speaking honestly. You are sharing something personal. You are finally allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Then suddenly, they become completely blank. No response, no acknowledgement, no visible concern. Your words simply hang in the air. This kind of indifference can hurt deeply because human beings naturally look for some kind of response when they communicate. We want to know that we have been heard. We want to know that our feelings have registered with the other person. When someone intentionally denies even that basic recognition, you can begin feeling invisible. Your feelings seem unimportant. Your thoughts seem irrelevant. Eventually, you may start believing that you are the problem simply because you wanted to be heard. And they accomplish all of this without saying anything at all. Silence can also be timed in a very specific way to increase your insecurity. Right after a disagreement, when most healthy people would try to talk, clarify, or at least explain that they need some space, they suddenly disappear into silence. The difference is important. Healthy space has communication around it. Or weaponized silence creates confusion. They may know that you want closure. They may know that uncertainty is difficult for you. So the silence stretches. 1 hour becomes several hours become a day. Your discomfort continues growing until you cannot tolerate it anymore. Eventually, you may apologize simply to make the tension stop. You may accept responsibility for things that were never yours. They win the conflict without having to make a single argument because you eventually surrendered just to restore peace. And the same tactic can appear in social situations. They may ignore you when other people are present while becoming warm and friendly with everyone else. They speak to everyone except you. They laugh with others while acting as if you are not there. That kind of exclusion can hurt more deeply than an obvious insult because it sends a public message without openly stating it. It can make you feel invisible and unwanted. It can also influence how others perceive the relationship. They do not have to openly shame you. The silence creates the atmosphere for them. And what makes this tactic especially effective is that it uses something basic in human psychology. We naturally treat silence as a signal. In close relationships, sudden silence often tells us that something is wrong. Our instinct is to repair the connection. We want to understand. We want to fix the problem. A manipulative person can take advantage of that instinct. They can turn your empathy and your natural desire for connection into pressure against you. You work harder, you explain more, you compromise again. You give up more of your needs just to make the silence disappear. And every time that happens, the lesson becomes stronger. Silence gets results. Over time, this pattern can condition you like invisible psychological training. You learn to expect the withdrawal. You begin fearing it before it even happens. You start avoiding certain subjects, certain questions, and certain boundaries because you are afraid of being pushed back into that emotional emptiness. Slowly, you begin censoring yourself. You minimize your needs. You soften your opinions. You stop asking for what you want. You change your behavior not because you freely choose to, but because you are trying to avoid punishment through silence. People outside the relationship may not see this transformation. They may simply think you have become quieter, but inside something much deeper can be happening. You become more hesitant, more cautious, more afraid of upsetting the other person. Your world begins shrinking while their influence grows. And then another destructive strategy may appear. They begin weakening your relationships with other people. This is one of the most damaging forms of control because it attacks something human beings deeply depend on: connection. People survive difficult periods through family, friendship, community, and trusted support. Strong relationships make it much harder for someone to isolate or manipulate you. A person who has people around them can compare experiences, seek advice, receive encouragement, and recognize unhealthy behavior more clearly. So a controlling person may try to weaken those connections. They do not always attack your friends or family directly. Instead, they may introduce small doubts, quiet comments, casual observations, carefully chosen suggestions that make you question the people you trust. And because the comments are often delivered as concern, you may not recognize what is happening at first. They might say, "I don't know if your friend really respects you," or "Your family seems to have a problem with us," or "I just feel like that person is using you." One comment may seem harmless, but repeated over time, those comments can change how you see the people around you. And this is where the next pattern becomes even more revealing. Because once doubt has been planted, the goal is not always to convince you that everyone is bad. Sometimes the goal is simply to make you stop trusting the people who could help you see the truth.